Welcome to Journey for Service. I'm William Laddick, and we are once again joined by Randall Kaiser. I like to call him Mayor sometimes. I like to call him Sir, even though he doesn't like that. I like to call him Lord. Master is also good. Not master is in I bow before thee, but master is in I'm a master, you're a master. We're all masters. Randall, how are you?
Wonderful, brother. Yeah, self-mastery is the way to look at things in life. You know, we're here to master ourselves more than anything. And it's like, you know, there's so much distraction out in the other world, other than your own little world, that it's hard to sometimes stay focused. But really, focusing and paying attention is all we really need to do. We can get distracted by governed mind, television, I don't know what else, movies, Hollywood. We can get distracted by so many things, but you know, the simplicity is that we're here to live a happy, healthy life and be free. And now that, you know, things are moving in our direction towards freedom every single day, you know, it's going to get easier and easier. So
well, I hope so, because I'm ready for it. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm ready for it. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to ask you how your week was, but there are some things that I know that happened during your week that I would like to point out. But I'm going to see where you go with this, and then I'll jump in if I feel like I need to add something. But how was your week, and what were you up to?
Oh, gosh, now I'm yawning. Well, today's the 8/8 Stargate, the white lion portal, all that language that everybody's using. And it was a very relaxing day. A friend of mine picked me up, Kelly, and we drove out to the spring for water. We were manifesting like you wouldn't believe, co-creating. She took me by her business that she has, her and her son are creating together, this amazing conscientious capitalist business that they got going on. It's just phenomenal to see the growth that they've had in the very few months. And she attributes most of it is to the fact that they're using consciousness instead of just going by the old rules of, you know, rules. So consciousness being just, you know, waking up to what's really truly happening other than the business end of it, you know, paying attention to those little things that are divine ordered, you know. And it's just, it was wonderful for her to share that with me. And then we went past the big project that we're working on. Was going to take a leak by the gate, and I said, you want to drive right in? I'll show you the whole damn thing. She says, sure. So we drove right down to the river through the property, and she is just as thrilled as I am. Every time I'm out there, I just get vibrating, you know, like the energy is so right on this 6,000 acre property that we're going to, you know, co-create a harvest facility for beef animals and all kinds of agricultural projects. And we're all over that. And today was a good day to just bring that level of focus with two people by driving through the property and looking at it. Everybody's saying that 8/8 or the Stargate, Lions Gate, is a good day to really focus on your, I guess, your what you want in life. So did we just happen to do that today? Yeah, we sure did. And it's one of many things that we talked about and visited about for 4 hours driving around. It was just wonderful, 5 hours maybe. So if you catch this before the end of 8/8 Stargate, Lionsgate, then go sit on the grass or in a tree and manifest your reality, okay? Your what you want in life for this next year, for the rest of your life, which is all there for you. And it's waiting for you to just co-create with Mother Earth, with God, with all the energy that's out there in a conscious way, and get her done, folks.
Good old Alberta expression, right? Love that. Get her done. Just get her done, man. I'll ask you to check your Wi-Fi. You might be on. You did kind of have a little pauses in there visually. We heard you all the way. I'm not sure if you want to do that. A bunch of things came up, and I giggled at one point in the middle of it because as I was writing the exact words, you said the words, and I thought that was just wonderful, a wonderful serendipitous moment. But I had a few things show up, and I'm going to read them all, what I wrote here, and then I'll let you pick whichever one you want to speak to, or you can speak to all of them in a certain order. You tell me which way you want to go. But here's what I saw and thought of as you were talking, and also remembering some of your videos from earlier this week. So there was co-creating versus manifesting. There was consciousness. You said something about consciousness in your answer. I just wrote that down. I didn't expand on that, but basically 8-8 is considered I heard the term Lionsgate, and I heard the same kinds of things that you were just talking about, in that it's been encouraged that on a day like today, you focus on what you want to manifest, or not just manifest, but create in your reality going forward. So today is a great day to focus your energies and your thoughts on that. So that consciousness is what I meant. Organic versus divine order. I remember actually last week, I think I said organic, and you said, I like that word divine order better. And we went into that a little bit, but if you want to speak a bit more on that, you can. And also, this is news to me about the 6,000 acre property that you want to raise beef on. I'd love to know more about that. So there you go. 4 different, pretty big areas. Which one would you like, or you want to talk to them all?
Well, let's talk to them all. We'll kind of ball them all up a little bit. Like the property has been the project that I've been on for years already. Like it's an agricultural project where we're going to not only raise, but harvest in a conscious manner the beef animals that are raised in a very divine order fashion rather than organic. So we're getting that one in there for you. And, I like to refer to it as natural, but divine order is natural. We know that. Heaven is the divine natural order on this plane of existence where we live, that is beyond the world and the words of man, which, is all about getting to that aspect of creation. So I think I've balled pretty well all those up into one there. But let's just start then from that co-creation rather than creation aspect, okay? When I'm on my own, thinking, okay, because that's what we do, we think. I am the creator, okay? When I am on the call with you, or when I am speaking with or to a group of people, I'm a co-creator, because then I recognize that I am not alone anymore. There are other co-creators involved. So I like to use the word co-creator as much as possible, other than when you are, or I am, alone, on our own. Then we are the creator. And we got to know that what we speak and what we think to ourselves is representative and rebooting our subconscious mind, so that we have that confidence, that certainty, that love, that kindness, all that conscious type of thinking involved, and that we are then, or I am, the creator of my reality. However, I feel that, folks that get to that point and just continue to use that I am the creator are just a little bit off when they do it with other people, because other people are obviously there. And other people are obviously co-creating. They are your angels. They are your, in your life for a reason. And that reason is godly. That reason is divine. So I just like the word co-creation. When people say I'm a good creator, well, I'm just co-creating. Like a lot of the stuff that I say and talk about is exactly as someone else has spoken of before. It's just, nothing is new. There was a creation, a creator, and then we've been co-creating ever since. That's how it works.
Now, I got a warm fuzzy for you. as you were talking there, about partway through, I got this just really, really cool feeling about that word, co-creation. And I thought, wherever two or more are gathered, there is great power there. And we've heard that expression. I think that's a biblical expression, actually. And I started to think, you know, if Calgarians are really ready to really co-create a new reality, a new existence, then it just, to me, it just makes sense that they would vote for you, because you would be co-creating with them a whole new reality. And you've been offering things as to what you can co-create, but it's not from a place that we've often seen in the past with, you know, politicians making a bunch of promises and then very often not keeping them. This is a little different. It's like saying, we have this vision and we're moving into this, and I want to co-create this with you. So, you know, that's what I not really a question again, but that was a comment and a thought that came to my mind. Anything come to you as I share that?
Yes, very much, William. Thank you. And that, I really love how you put that, you know, like, it's so important to me to co-create with someone that's conscious like yourself, that is helping through conversation the idea of comprehension. So your conversation with me, a lot of C words in this, your conversation with me is helping others to comprehend the idea of co-creation, which is, you know, respect for each other's opinion, not competition, not destruction. None of those kind of words come into my mind when I think of co-creation. I think of divinity, because creation is a divine, you know, process. So you can't, go ahead.
I was just gonna say one more word I'll throw in there just to throw it in: collaboration.
Perfect. Yeah, that's beautiful, William. And I mean, we can just keep going. Like, the English language has been manipulated and exploited, no doubt, by, you know, government. It was all that way. Like, and, you know, the education system is part of that government, that new world ordered government that ordered all the governments of the world, you know, and they manipulated and exploited the English language to a point where, you know, it indoctrinated us into belief systems that were just ridiculous, you know, just complete, utter ridiculous. So we are co-creating a new world with our words. And, you know, it's, call it dreams if you want, but that's ridiculous, because we're talking about actual physical experiences now. We're talking about co-creation via comprehensive, collaborative conversation between two humans. Okay, William is real and I'm real. The people that I deal with in the levels of banking are real. We're not talking about storybook characters anymore. Politicians are mostly just storybook characters. They're acting out a role. If you ever tried to talk to them authentically on camera, they wouldn't be able to handle it. They can't come on social media networks like this and speak to us. So we speak about them. Most of the social media does. And so does the mainstream media. They speak about them because they can't speak to them, because they're not authentic. They're just, you know, playing roles. And all of them are playing roles that are adhering to an order. And that new world order that was in place failed. So now they're just taking orders from corporate agenda, corporate, you know, things that are all out for, you know, exploitation and manipulation, mostly after your money, my own net energy yield, or your money, which one ever, you know, you choose.
Now you use that, what do you call that? Is that allegory, where each letter stands for something? I think that's allegory, yeah. So use that in, I think you use that in your book, and we're gonna allude to your book in a minute or two here. But I wanted to make mention as well of you did 3 videos yesterday. A couple of them were shorties, but I wanted to talk about those a little bit as well. Now, number one, well, one was a casino thing, and even though it was only about a minute, I still found that interesting. Not because you had to go and take a leak, but because you basically said the casinos are not going to be, really needed or around much once we shift completely into this new type of paradigm. So I found that interesting. But the other two, actually, what I wanted to speak about now, the longer one, of course, you did at NMAX Park, and I was very excited to incorporate your new channel intro at the beginning and at the end. And I worked hard on that one, and I really love it. And I'm glad you loved it too. And we've shared that on there. And that was also to have people also more aware of the book, because the book, it does have information that can fill in on things that we talk about on this channel, on this show, on your channel, and so much more. But before we get into the book, because I do have an area that I wanted to cover today, I wanted to talk about that other video from yesterday, which was you talking to some ladies on stage. And you, it was a very interesting comment you made. You said it was the most conscious rally, and I was going to say something else instead of rally, but I think rally is probably the better word here. The most conscious rally that you've seen in Calgary, that you've experienced, probably since you started seeing the rallies. So can you talk to us a little bit about that? What was that rally about? We didn't see very much of it, obviously, just your comments, but it seemed like the ladies really accepted your comments. Can you tell us more of what happened there?
Oh gosh, brother, it was, I'm so happy that I got a chance to go down and take that in. I mean, it was fairly short. They each spoke for about 20 minutes a piece or something like that. But it was, they were all registered nurses or had been registered nurses that have been fired, because of their will and their desire to speak out on this ridiculous, thing that's been going on for the last year and a half. The one lady probably stood out a little bit more, to me anyway, because she was such a natural proponent of remedies from a natural basis, right? So she's a nurse, but she also really promotes and works in the field of natural remedies. So the way that they spoke was so kind. They weren't pointing fingers. They did say that they were, co-creating a new system. And that kind of language just doesn't come out of very many people, like usually it's like, this is bad and that's bad. And that's what I meant by it was the most conscious, right? They weren't pointing fingers. They were talking in terms of, okay, we know that vaccines aren't good, and we're not talking about any particular vaccine right now. We're just talking about vaccines in general and how disrupting the natural processes and the natural body, the divine reason that we're here in a mammalian state, was being interrupted by these pharmaceutical procedures, right? And that was about it. And then, well, not it, but that was, the gist of her and the other two ladies as far as presenting what was. And then they started talking about what is and what will be, and what they're going to co-create in terms of, helping seniors and bringing babies into this world in a more natural, common sense, beautiful, divine manner, like the birthing of babies and then keeping them with their mothers right off the bat and getting that connection and that, beautiful spark going between the mother and the baby, or the father and the baby, whatever. And it was just such a beautiful conversation. And, the fact that they were focused there didn't stop me from asking a question that was related to the healthcare industry. And as you know, I asked the question if they were familiar with the legal transcripts that are now in the judicial jurisdiction of the legal, that say that there is no proof of anything. Okay, no proof of anything. And as much as the man will admit that he didn't win the case, the words are still there. They're on the transcript, admitting that there's no proof of anything. That it doesn't say in his transcripts, but we all know that the PCR test is completely revealing nothing. You know, there's nothing behind that. And now to say that there's nothing behind the original story in the first place, I mean, that went across the world, and there's nothing that's going to stop it. Okay, there's doctors trying to do that in the legal jurisdiction with class actions in Europe, in America, here in Canada with Rocco Galati. All these class actions are in the works, and they're trying to get that through. But one man without a lawyer has it on transcript. It's just a phenomenal thing that nobody can deny, that we cannot stop speaking about, because it's basically changed the whole history of the last year and a half. It changed the history, and it's rewritten now. There's no going back. So, I mean, will we continue to talk about that stuff every now and again? Yes, of course. But what I wanted to talk about and listen to from those ladies more was how we're moving ahead. And it was divine. They were just beautiful women that were just so confident in what their words were as far as how we can move this forward with humanity and with the love and the kindness and the compassion and the forgiveness that we've all been waiting for. Just forgive these politicians. But that doesn't mean they get to stay there. They all have to leave. They all have to go away now because they didn't lead. They didn't do anything proper in this one job that they were tasked with. I don't care about everything else. It doesn't matter. In this one extremely important job that they were tasked with, they didn't do their job. So now they have to leave. That's as simple as it is. Like Donald Trump says, you're fired. You know, like, go away. Go get a job at McDonald's. Or like I said in one of my videos this week, you know, if you want to still remain in a position, paid position for the city of Calgary, now that I'm the regent mayor, which means interim, you know, I'm just acting as mayor because there's nobody there. They're, you know, hiding behind their silliness. We could actually, you know, continue to pay you, and you could go around and pick up those things that were on people's faces that are laying all in the streets. You could go do that, and we'll give you some money for doing that if you want. What do you think?
I had a little bit of amusement from that when I saw that. I thought that well put. And, I think I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I wanted to shift into the book now a little bit. Like I mentioned last week, we're going to be diving into little bits and snippets from the book to mention here for people to see some of the content of what you have. And I wanted to read, there's two different passages, one which you know about because I mentioned it to you just before we started recording, but this is the other one. And what I was looking for before the show started is, I remember somewhere in the book that you had mentioned, you know, about how the elite controlled the population of this world. And you said it wasn't through micromanagement. It wasn't like they were hovering over everybody. It would be impossible because by ratio, there's so few of them compared to the amount of people in the world. So how do they do it? And what you mentioned in the book is it's through the use of systems. So I was looking for something around system. I didn't quite find exactly what I was looking for with that, but I did come across this, and this fit very much into what you were talking about this week in some of your other videos, where you're introducing us to the dynastic dynasty, was it, of Santa Maria? Was that what that's called? So yeah, go ahead, correct me.
It's dynastic order of Santa Maria or divine order of Santa Maria. You can pick, you choose. That's what I refer to. Yeah. Got
you. Thank you. Sorry, I botched that one up. But let me read to you something you said in the book, which surprised me actually. This is a direct quote here. The elite are not just a handful of persons. There are actually millions of them all around throughout many countries and continents around the world. Some are silent, some are wild, some are whistleblowers, some are nasty, and some are good. And that caught me by surprise. I thought, oh, well, whenever you hear about, the elite or the cabal, it's always painted with such a, dark brush. So you went on to say one of the most well-known people around the world was and still is Princess Diana, who married into the British monarchy. Her legacy ensues because of her children, William and Harry, and you mentioned another child in your video yesterday, which I'll give you a chance to talk to in a second here. Some people still like to remember her as Lady Diana or the Queen of Hearts. She was a sweet and innocent soul. Her family's name was Spencer. If you look through the history, it appears that she had been groomed since childhood to marry Charles, the Prince of Wales, who is the apparent heir to the British throne as the eldest son of Queen Elizabeth II. Unbeknownst to Diana, there was a plan already underway. Some call this an arranged marriage because of the bloodline that is required for a hidden agenda. Then you go on and say more about other things, but I wanted to just touch on that, and because you had more to say, and of course it ties into the Santa Maria story. So I'll leave it to you to grab that ball and run with it a little bit. Where would you like to take this one?
Well, that's great. And I mean, this is fairly new ground for myself. Okay, I've been kind of being groomed into this position of being the public voice for in this setting. Okay, public voice for the Divine Order of Santa Maria. I do have that shut off, William, but my data might be a wee bit slow. Hopefully I got my Wi-Fi shut off, but hopefully it's still working. I saw a little frown on your face.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You keep on going. We hear you, and that's the key thing.
Okay. Yeah. So probably about 6 or 7 months now, and like I say, it's my own experience, and it's experience though. This isn't a fairy tale or a dream. I'm actually physically speaking with and looking eye to eye in video cameras with human beings. Okay, not stories of people, or I'm not running anybody down for their stories. That everyone has the right to talk about things and create things and co-create things. I'm talking about physical experience, traveling to far off lands, Southeast Asia, China, Philippines, you name it. I've been around the world and actually physically meeting with some of these people that I mentioned. Others, I just have eye-to-eye communication, voice over telephone call communication. And we build trust, okay? Build belief in each other, if not just trust. So I've been, again, being groomed as Princess Di was being groomed. I'm not comparing the two of us. She's a little hotter than me. But, we know that there's grooming that goes on, and that grooming is to get the story straight. So to not sin, which is missing the mark, right? So missing the mark is simply sin in Aramaic language, right? So getting the story straight. And since, I don't know, probably last November, I've been getting this story of the divine or dynastic order of Santa Maria. Now that being based on the idea that Lord Jesus Christ, Lady Mary Magdalene had children. Okay, was it prior to the passion moments, or the whatever you want to call what he went through? All of that could be conjecture. We don't know, but we do know now that I know now, and most people are becoming aware of this, that he actually was a living human being. When and where he lived on this planet is kind of, beside the point most of the time as well, but he did live and breathe and have children with Mary Magdalene. So the idea of that brings in the idea of an ancestral bloodline. Okay, so you mentioned bloodline there. And there is a bloodline when you have children, okay? It passes along. And how much of that is important, or how much of the consciousness that's brought into those children is important, is another thing that could be debatable. Okay. It's like, my mother and father were so loving and so kind, and taught me good things, fed me good food. It was just wonderful to have parents like that. So if you have a bloodline, ancestry that treats you like shit, well then, you're gonna maybe pass that along too. So there's two aspects of this, right? The physical, biological bloodline, and then the bloodline of consciousness and love and compassion that can be passed on through our parents and whatnot as well. So with Jesus Christ, as we know of him as the pattern man, the man of compassion, the man of love, the man of, enlightenment, and Mary Magdalene, knowing that she was the same, we know that both those aspects were here. Okay. So I've met now one of these dynastic families, these royal families, as we call them, and people can say, oh, royal families, whatever, No, they're beautiful people, and they're very wealthy people, and their wealth has not only built for themselves, but built these accounts that are heritage accounts that they keep for humanity, that we've been attempting for years and years and years to bring through, when some of these unconscious families, and I'll name them, Rockefellers and Bilderbergs and their families, manifested this central bank system that limited that flow. Okay. So let's not go into that too much more and just continue along with the dynastic order. So I met a lady now through a friend on camera, or sorry, this was just an audio call so far, but I know what she looks like. You can find her actually on Facebook if you like. And she spoke with me for over an hour. We laughed and joked. She's a human being, just like I am, just like you are. That's what all of us are, same with Queen Elizabeth, to get into that shape-shifting stuff and everything. I don't go there. They're human beings like us. In my mind, that's it. That's all we have on this plane of existence, is human beings like us. If I was an alien and I came and seen all the mess that we made, I wouldn't want to communicate with us. And just keep going, like, you guys are nuts. Like, so it's just us. It's just a bunch of human beings, some with extreme high wealth, some of us with not so high wealth, some of us with really no wealth, but it's all just us. So this wonderful, beautiful lady came on the phone with me, introduced through a partner that I've known for months, almost a year now. And he was introducing the idea of her and telling me about her prior to this phone call. We talked about her ancestral lines, which she showed on paper, going back to Sarah, the daughter of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. One child. We don't know. I don't know of others, but I know of this one, and I trust her because I listened to her and I listened to my friend, and I know that that exists, that ancestral bloodline. So this week, when I was, talking about coming out more in public about this dynastic divine order of Santa Maria, I said, okay, so would you tell me, is Lady Diana and her Spencer family similar? Do they have ancestral lines going back to, she said, exactly the same as mine. Not exactly the same, but you go back a couple generations and there you'll find a similarity that leads to Sarah. So what was going on in my mind through that book article that you just, or piece that you just took out of the book in question, was that the grooming was to try and bring that divine bloodline, not just the beauty and the kindness and the compassion that obviously Princess Diana has, okay? Has, whatever. I'm not going to go there. But that divine consciousness that she has, but also knowing that she has the potential, at the very least, of being related to Sarah, who is Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene's daughter. Then trying to bring that into the family, the Windsor family, who are not that way, because they bullshit you right from the get-go. They say they're the Queen of England. She's a Prussian. She's German ancestry. She's not even from England to start with. So how many more deceptions do you need? The deception that she is a sovereign, divine leader, queen? What the hell's that all about? The Pope got in between and granted her that sovereign divinity. You don't need a Pope in between you and divinity. So there's another bullshit story that they fed us. So in other words, Princess Di was trying to bring some kind of divinity, some kind of consciousness into an unconscious so-called royal family. Nobody knows if they even have the true rights to be sitting where they are. But at the very least, they're not very conscious because they bullshit people. And they sit on wealth and they, go on and on about fixing the world and stuff, but they're sitting on vast, enormous amounts of off-ledger accounts. So they're full of shit, okay? Bottom line, I'll say it like it is. So we got that attempt to bring her in. So Diana had a son, okay, with Charles. I don't know if the other two are or not, but the son, whose name is Alex or Alexei, wasn't, I don't want to say this, like, I'm not going to give the details of his physical being, but he wasn't quite right, okay? That's all I want to say. He wasn't quite right. So they didn't want to expose that to the world, right? And it wasn't due to line breeding or anything like that, but he had physical problems, okay? So they kind of shipped him off, all right? And then they had these other two sons. I don't think they had those other two sons. Harry definitely is not Prince Charles' son. He's a big, strapping, red-headed boy, Scottish father in my mind. But you can play with that all you want too. I'm just saying my opinion now. The other fellow, the other one's name?
William.
Help me out here.
His name's William.
William, right. Jesus, I should be able to remember that. So William could be or could not be, I don't know for sure. But it doesn't really look like it to me either. But again, not the point here, okay? So there is a son of Princess Diana who was shipped off. He grew up now. He's in his 40s. He lives in Russia, okay? And he grew up under the divine Greek Orthodox Christian church, not something that involves a pope in between you and God, like the Roman Catholic bullshit story, but a divine Greek Orthodox Christian church. Now that Greek Orthodox church, that man, Alex, many of these high wealth, off-ledger account holders, these royal family members, some of them being divinely ancestrally connected to Princess Di and Sarah, the daughter of Jesus and Mary, others related in other ways to Jesus and Mary. As I said, I don't know other children. Tell me, show me, because I believe that they have Sarah at the very least. So all of these families are getting together and forming the Divine Order of Santa Maria as an entity, a lawful entity, which will be registered very shortly at the United Nations when myself and some of my other partners get there. Okay, that's happening. So this is part of my life. I've been invited to go there as well. So all of that process is taking place. And I'm not going to put conjecture into Princess Diana herself. That would be like talking about JFK Jr. or something, I'm not going to talk about that stuff. You can find that all over social media and stories if you want. I'm talking about experiential, sorry?
I was just going to say, but you don't know what's accurate about that. That's what makes it challenging. You hear some things about they're alive and this and that. And yeah, it is a lot of conjecture. So I can see maybe why you want to stay away from that, actually.
And I mean, you know, people will say that about us talking here now. I'm talking from direct experience and physical phone calls with these people and video calls and shaking hands with some of them, as I said. So I'm not a YouTuber who's, you know, connecting dots and talking about what other people talk about. I'm talking about my direct experience. So, you know, again, you can believe it or not. That's what we're here for, is to create our own story via our beliefs, trusting in ourselves first. As I said, discernment has to be within, not somewhere else. So I don't know, I guess that's about all for now, like on that front, unless you have some other questions about it. But it's, you know, it's a developing story.
Yeah.
And the only other thing, sorry, I'll add, is that one of the many projects, so this is all project funding coming through these dynastic families that that have been held back from moving on Ledger by the Bilderberg and Rockefeller crap shit show government, New World Order, which has fallen apart a long time ago. We can talk about that some other time, but you know, it's no longer there. It's just the corporate entities that were answering to that order that are just clinging to some kind of, you know, story, and they're just all lost. Government, as Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche said, government is dead. I think he didn't say government is dead. He said somebody else is dead, but you know, fuck you, Nietzsche, government is dead. And that's all I've got to say about that. Because government is dead. It's just a dead entity, It's got nothing. It's a corporation. It's a corpse. It's just functioning because we're allowing it to function. And we don't have to allow it to function. Put the government on your own shoulders, right here, this thing, and govern yourself. It's about self-governance, and then work with other people who are like that and co-create this new world with us.
Randall, one of the things that, you know, I've always admired about you is even if something looks, I don't know how else to put it, tinfoil hat potential, even though it may seem a little out there, a little hard to justify or go with, you seem to, first of all, you have a personal experience of it, which you mentioned. It's not just that you're making stuff up. You've actually had connections with different people that have connections to whatever stories that you're sharing. So there's a physical reality to it. But the other point I want to make is that, you know, again, I've said this before, coming from perspective of somebody who maybe is a little bit more isolated, it kind of gets hard to believe sometimes because you see it as something of a little, what's the word? I want to say outstanding, but more, it's a different word. But anyway, it seems like it's a little beyond the reach of reality. And so, but you don't let that stop you. I mean, you say, okay, you know what? I've had an experience. I believe it to be true. I'm going to share it because frankly, and you don't say this, but this is the feeling I get, is that you can judge me all you want, but this is my experience and I'm still going to share it with you and you can do with it what you want. So thank you for that, first of all. I wanted to ask you one quick question about the Santa Maria itself. You're saying you're getting it registered. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is? Like that thing that you're registering, what is the intention of it, or what is it going to do for people or the world?
Well, you know, the idea of registering is the manifestation process. Like people don't believe things until they see it, right? So then manifesting is paper and autographs and agreements. And how did we create our beliefs that stop you from believing in me, you know, or not you, William, maybe you do, maybe you don't, doesn't matter. But what would stop people from believing in a new belief? It's manifestation, it's paperwork, it's education, and which could be indoctrination, right? Could the Rockefellers have created systems called the education system and, you know, recreated documents and fed those to us. If you think back even in yours and my lifetime, William, at the changes that have been made to the mathematics 10, mathematics 20, or mathematics 30 books, just in our generation, compared to what they are now. Just think of how, simple it was in the 1930s to start this education process, and then just upgrade those books a little bit, get them to believe a little bit more. And I'm just talking mathematics. What about history? What about everything else other than, biology, which I think can't be denied. But, sociology, psychology, all of the studies in the education world, legal systems, my God, there's one for you. Like these lawyers that wander around and, get paid exorbitant wages for what? Like, my God, like that legal system is the worst, other than the pharmaceutical, which is, again, a bunch of conjecture, a bunch of theory, a bunch of experimentation. It's just amazing what we've done to ourselves. So to believe someone that's telling a conscious story about love, a conscious story about moving forward from an indoctrinated state of mind into a conscious divine state of mind, blow me off if you want. Like I said, William, and you support me with that. Thank you. If you want to stay in the indoctrination zone, if you want to stay there, that's your choice. I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not going to challenge you. I'm just telling you the truth from my experience, from my world, from human interaction, not from a storybook. It's wonderful. And I'll never stop. Like I say, it doesn't matter what happens out in the outer world, it's all good.
I wanted to read one more very short excerpt from page 42 in the book. And it relates to something you just said a few minutes ago as well. And it is about the systems. And I mentioned it earlier. And the quote says, "The systems that were put in place decades and decades ago were installed to protect the elite and keep their structures alive and well. However, those structures are now collapsing before our very eyes. The system is failing and the elite have nowhere else to run or hide." So you did mention that earlier, that, things are definitely changing. And I think you even mentioned, 20 minutes ago, that, they don't even have much of a leg to stand on anymore, as a lot of their resources have been, dried up for the most part. Do you have any more of an update on that, or a little bit more to tell us on that?
Well, first off, let's take that elite word and talk about it in the sense of how I don't mind that I'm glad we brought this up, because it needs clarification in the book, because a lot of times we get to the word royalty or elite and then boom, they're the bad guys, right? And it even sounded like that as you're reading that part of the book, William. So I want to clarify that there are royal, dynastic, elite, if you want to call it that, because they have stuff that other people don't. That's the only reason I use the word elite, that are kind and caring and compassionate as well. However, those elite, like, let's just name a few. Obama, like he's got millions of dollars from where, I don't know, but let's just use that name. Or George Soros, or, Bill Gates. There's a couple names for you that are in that elite category because they have something that other people don't, that are losing their story so fast. It's not even funny, because it's just completely unconscious story. It's not leading humanity to a better place. It's just leading to humanity to be like sheep following some order, right? So the system was important. And that's the most important part of that statement you said, that those systems were created, manifested, or whatever. Let's just say they were created by these goofballs. Like if we add goofball to creation, then it works, okay? Because these goofballs that created the New World Order, most of them are dead anyway. So the followers of that all lost their marbles. Most of them went after profit and greed, and that was it, or some kind of measure of control over the population. And you know, they've been losing ground for years. We all know that. You know, we all know that there's something has to happen in this credit bubble, that, you know, they manifested the credit out of people's autographs and agreements, and now it's like to a point where they're saying, oh, the debt is so huge. Well, you manifested that too, or you know, so the whole story is going to explode, not just a credit story, you know. So it's like, I kind of got lost in that thought. I'm sorry if I distracted myself.
I do that when I tie my shoelaces. No, it's just was, you know, we mentioned the elite, but it was about the comment that I read from the book. And the elite, yeah, you're right. I think we even say it in the book though too, that they like being known as the elite. I mean, that's how they refer to themselves apparently. So just, you know, those people that have been pulling strings for many, many years up until very recently.
Yeah, and you know, that's the middle people elite, okay? The top people, the royal family elite who hold these heritage funds, most of them have always been conscious and divine and wanting to help humanity. They tried the New World Order, okay, which had some benevolence, and I'm going to defend it for a second here and say, you know, had they given the comfort income through nations like Canada, which is almost poverty free, okay, there's very little poverty in Canada. People still have means to get their food and to get their bills paid in Canada, okay, which is way above some of the other nations in the world. Northern European nations are like that. But then they played that game of driving into the minds of the people, oh, that's socialist, or that's communist, or that's capitalist, you know, try and get that division in our minds, rather than just consciously looking after the comfort of the people with that New World Order original plan. So it just went off base, you know. So ever since that old New World Order plan was put in place, that ordered all the governments, don't think in terms of one fighting the other, they're all doing that, it's all part of the game. But in terms of these real elites, the royal families, the dynastic families that hold the heritage funds of humanity, admitting that we've been here for thousands, if not millions of years, mining this earth, and that in that amount of time, we've taken a lot more out of the earth and stashed it away than people want to talk about that's in the Federal Reserve, you know, Fort Knox, or in the hands of the Russians, or in the hands of the China. Come on, people, like, get past that so quickly and realize that if we're going to go with asset-backed accounting again, and assets that are hidden away, there is an unlimited amount of them. That's the basis of this story, okay? And if you can grasp that, then you can start to grasp the rest of the story. So these heritage funds that are either off ledger in the banks, held away from the public in the banks, off ledger, or aren't even in the banking system yet, just hidden away in the ground somewhere, are now going to come through for humanity, because the New World Order fell apart, and these corporate greedy governments that just robbed from one another and played games with one another are all defunct. Government is dead. The corporation is dead. It's a dead entity. Divinity is rising, and divinity is rising in you. So accept it and jump on board.
Yay! That's all I can say about that. Yay! I was smirking a little bit at the end there, because I was thinking, wow, we've gone almost a whole show and never brought up, you know, private banking and the money side of things. And then you mentioned it, and then you brought that in. So I thought we're still 100%. We haven't missed a show without talking about that money side. So that's awesome. Randall, that's all I have for you today. I think we've right at our time as well. So if you would be kind enough to wrap up the show with that wonderful blessing of yours, I would love to say thank you for another great episode and looking forward to doing this all again next week.
Beautiful, brother. Happy 8/8, Lions Gate, Stargate, whatever you want to call it. It was a wonderful day, folks, for me. And I think William too. And hopefully, like you say, if you haven't gotten into the creation mode, okay, which is within you, and create within you what you want directly and divinely, sovereignly with the one creator, then get busy tonight and do that, okay? Or tomorrow morning if you're a little late. You can do that with peace, harmony, love, abundance, and freedom for everyone and everything every day. And on my mind, abundance, sovereignty, health, love, and euphoria. Keep having fun, you guys, and keep co-creating with us and creating on your own. I am. Love you, William.
Bye, guys. Love ya.